welcome to Growing Deeper Daily with Gateway Church. This week, each day, we are tracking Jesus' path from the glorious and triumphal entry of Palm Sunday to the cross of Good Friday and the empty tomb of Easter Sunday. And if you are still looking for a church to worship with this coming Easter, I want to encourage you, come check us out, 9 and 11 o'clock. Spots are filling quick. Make sure you reserve your spot if you'd like to come in person. Or you could follow us online on our Facebook and YouTube channels. We'll be streaming live our services at 9 and 11 this coming Sunday. And then also for those of you that are interested in a nice Good Friday reflection, I want you to come on out Friday at 7 o'clock. Spots are filling quick as well. It's going to be a great night of reflecting on the work of Jesus Christ on the cross. And then together we'll be looking in the Word of God and then taking communion together. That service is shaping up to be a really, really beautiful, reflective time on the great work and sacrifice, the great example of love that Jesus demonstrated to us when he went to the cross on our behalf. But today we find ourselves on Thursday of Holy Week. Thursday of Holy Week. It's often called Maundy Thursday. Maundy Thursday. That word Monday comes from a Latin word for command. And it's on this good Holy Thursday that we remind ourselves of the command of Jesus to love one another. This is the time of year where many churches will celebrate a service tonight, and there will be a foot washing. These are the events that happened on Good Thursday, on Holy Thursday. Jesus celebrates the Passover with the disciples. This is where the upper room discussions start to happen. This is where the upper room discourse in John's Gospel, in John chapter 14 and following through 17, we see him having his teaching with his disciples. And then as well, he washes their feet. Judas finally goes through with his act of betrayal. And ultimately, Jesus is arrested in the garden. A lot happens here on Holy Thursday or Maundy Thursday. The events of Jesus up into this time in the week, he has been doing many things in public. Remember, he comes in on Holy Monday and he overturns the money changers in the temple. He as well then debates and teaches with the other leaders against the religious leaders in Jerusalem of that day on Tuesday. He confronts. His ministry is very public. It's very confrontational in those early days. On Wednesday, then remember, he's anointed at the house of Simon the leper. And then as well, Judas begins his plot on Wednesday. And so here we come on Thursday, and I always think of Holy Thursday as these last intimate moments that Jesus has with his closest followers, his disciples. Here on Holy Thursday, Jesus spent time with these 12 that he has spent the last several years with. Jesus gives, if you will, his last encouragement and charges to these followers, both in act symbolically and then as well in his words and in his teaching. In the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, we see it talking more about the emphasis on Jesus in the Last Supper and the giving of it and the breaking of bread and the demonstration of what that means. So communion and the theme that comes from that comes from Holy Thursday. And then as well, the foot washing. These are the symbolic acts that Jesus demonstrates to his disciples on Thursday, reminding them of the sacrifice that he is going to go through and his challenge to them to love one another. And then as well in his teaching, we see in John's Gospel in chapter 14 and following, the great upper room discourse. There's amazing teachings about what it's going to be like to be part of this community of God. It's his last charge to his disciples that as the Father has sent him, so he now cares for and sends them out into the world. It's a real intimate moment Jesus has before he finds himself before his various trials and then his public execution on a cross on Good Friday. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But today I want us to think about the command. Jesus washes the feet of the disciples. Remember, Jesus does so as a way of demonstrating to them his desire to serve them, his desire to care for them, his desire to love for them, his desire to sacrifice for them. And that through the washing of their feet, he is demonstrating to them that he is not greater than them in the area of servanthood. That is, the greatest leaders are servants. Remember, as that scene unfolds, Peter says, "Oh Lord, if this makes me clean, wash my whole body." But he doesn't recognize the ramifications of what it means. Jesus, in order to offer them the true ultimate cleansing, will have to go to a cross to make it happen. But we see then this command that Jesus gives and this emphasis for his disciples to love one another. And that's the challenge for us of Holy Thursday today. Will we love each other like Jesus has modeled for us and challenges us to do? Will we love like Jesus? This is John's gospel. When he had gone out, this is chapter 13, verse 31. When he had gone out, Jesus said, "Now is the Son of Man glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and glorify him at once. Little children, yet a little while I am with you. You will seek me, and just as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. A new commandment I give you." Here's where we get that word Monday, Thursday. This new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. And by this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. John's gospel, unique from the other three in its perspective on Jesus, in many ways giving and filling out for us the greater theological development around who Jesus was that happened towards the end of the first century. And John is talking about this idea of glorification here, that Jesus is saying as he is glorified. And in John's gospel, to be glorified for Jesus means to be lifted up on the cross. That at that moment of the cross, that's where Jesus is most lifted up and glorified, and God is most glorified in him. That Jesus is saying, for me to receive and get the most glory, it means I must be lifted up on a cross. I must go through this in order to demonstrate and make possible for you the great love of God in your life. And so too, this is my command. Love one another. Jesus leads by example here. Love one another. Jesus is showing them both in symbolic act and in direct teaching that his command for his followers is to love. And so when we come to this day in Holy Week, it's a challenge for us to ask, how are we loving and serving those around us, especially those in the community of faith, our brothers and sisters in the Lord? Are we demonstrating to the world around us the great love that Jesus has demonstrated towards us? Or are we bickering? Are we fighting with each other? Are we looking for ways to lift ourselves up above another? Are we gossiping about each other? Are we not being patient and kind and forbearing and loving in sacrificial ways? That's the question of Holy Thursday. Would you get down on your knees like Jesus to wash the feet of others? Would you get down on your knees like Jesus to demonstrate humility? Because the amazing truth is that as Jesus is lifted up on the cross, this place of great weakness and service, he loves to the very end those that come and come to him. That Jesus in this moment of weakness shows himself strength. That you and I, as we as well, show humility and service and love and patience and kindness to each other. We demonstrate the great strength of God. This is Jesus on his way to the cross, reminding and teaching his disciples on this Holy Thursday what it means to humbly serve. So, the events then of Jesus in the garden also happened this night. And as you remember in the other Gospels, it talks about Jesus bleeding, drops of sweat like drops of blood that evening as he asked the Lord for the cup to pass for him. But he says to God, the Father, not my will, but yours be done. That Jesus labors in prayer in that moment by himself as his disciples fall off into sleep. And then, as we know, Judas leads that crew in to arrest Jesus. And on Holy Thursday, remember Peter's response? It tells us in John's Gospel the name of Malchus, how he takes the sword and chops off the ear of one of these soldiers. But Jesus puts it back on and miraculously heals him. His last miracle here before his cross. And he tells them then in John chapter 18, verse 11, Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword into its sheath. Shall I not drink the cup my Father has given to me?" That's the emphasis of Holy Thursday. The humility, servanthood, and love of Jesus for his people, for the world, that Jesus is willing to drink that cup of suffering in order to see people healed and forgiven and made whole. And have you trusted in and believed in and find your confidence in this Jesus today? Do you find your comfort, your hope in knowing that Jesus willingly went to serve others, that he washes the feet of his followers, that he'll be lifted up and glorified on a cross in order to love and care for others, that his kingdom is not one that is waged through the war of a sword and a shield, but that his is through humility and sacrifice. And he's willing to drink the cup, this cup of death that's been laid out for him in order to secure our life and our hope and our future. A lot happens on Holy Thursday. What starts off as a celebration of the Passover and God's deliverance is a reminder to them in act and in word that Jesus has come to love and serve to the very end. And the challenge for us is, if we follow this Jesus, will we today seek to love and to serve others and to wash the feet of others as a demonstration of the great love and sacrifice and service of Jesus?